Excerpts of tributes paid to former Prime Minister Raila Odinga at the state funeral earlier today. The nation listened in solemn silence as his family, the people who knew him beyond politics, paid heartfelt tributes to the man Kenya fondly called Baba. And now we head over to Bondo, where Sam Gituku has been giving us updates. This is going to be Raila Odinga's final resting place, and Sam Gituku has walked us through preparations there, the digging of the grave, as well as talking to workers who worked for Raila Odinga earlier during our 7 p.m. broadcast, and also in the course of the day just talking to leaders who also made their way there ahead of the burial. Sam, you've been there for the better part of the day. Bring us up to speed with what's been happening and indeed what you can tell us as of now as regards preparations.
Good evening, Lillian. We're still at the Opoda farm. This is the family home of Raila Odinga, and obviously, as you would expect, a lot of activity during the day that we've been able to witness. Let me just introduce you and the viewer that may be joining us at this point, that this is one of the sitting rooms that are at this home, and behind me is the seat that ordinarily Dr. Ida Odinga would be sitting. It is reserved for her. Nobody else is allowed to sit on it. And then here in the middle, there is the seat of Raila Odinga, Baba, as the country knows him. It is covered in a white cloth to signify the importance of the moment. Obviously, that he has departed, the seat remains preserved in his honor, and it's such a significant statement to even reflect on at such a particular time. But then also I'm here in the sitting room with some of the friends and family that have known Raila Odinga as a friend, as a family member. Like you rightly say, earlier on we spoke to some of the people that worked with this family, and many of them having to come to the point of calling Raila Odinga as their father and Dr. Ida Odinga as their mother, because they have been that to them. But also earlier on, Lillian, just a few minutes ago of the evening, we have seen the progress being made with the burial site of Raila Odinga. The digging was completed. What was going on at that time is now the beginning of the construction of that particular place, so as to put a bit of concrete to prepare it to a status that they would want to honor Raila Odinga with. So that construction has been going on the past few hours of the night in readiness for the day, which is Sunday. So not so much time that is remaining, but obviously they have had to do what they must do. You recall that earlier on we showed you pictures of the difficulty when it comes to digging that particular grave. Sometime in the evening, the government officers came with the assistance. They came with a driller to help deal with the rock that was on the ground. It was very difficult earlier on, but now with that driller, they were able to sort of expedite the process so that they can also save on time, because you can imagine the amount of work that is still ahead of them to ensure that that place is ready for interment of Raila Odinga. So preferably they would want to complete before the end of tomorrow, because all eyes will now turn to a different location when it comes to the funeral service on Sunday. But also, like I was telling you earlier, there was that difficulty in the young men that were there to go ahead, use the chisel and the mattock, as well as the mallet, to be in a position. Excuse me, sorry about that. Yeah, just to ensure that they were able to work on that particular location. So what we saw were very determined young men, ready to put all their energies, all their effort. We spoke to some of the men that were saying that despite how difficult it is to go ahead and dig that grave, they were ready to put in all the effort they have because of the honor, the respect that they have for the fallen leader. Obviously, we would expect that, yes, it's a difficult job, but it has to be done. And what a better way to honor the man in preparing his final resting place when it comes to the moment that we are at as a country. But at the same time, We've also been to different locations because this Bondo constituency in Siaya County, a lot of things going on. We have the site that will be used for the funeral service come on Sunday. That is at the Jaramogi Oginga Odinga University of Science and Technology. The grounds were being prepared for that particular funeral service. So to witness is the putting up of the tents that will be required. It's going to take a U-shape to ensure that the members of the public find a place, the members of the clergy or the church will find a place, the dignitaries find a place, especially leaders and also the family members will find a place, but it will also be one of the main days which will be used for the presidential entourage and also senior government officials. That is at the Jaramogi Oginga Odinga University of Science and Technology, which will be the center of the focus come on Sunday from the morning hours when the funeral service will be taking place. But before we get to all that, Lillian, there is the importance of what was happening today here at the Opoda farm. If I may bring you back here, a lot of activity, a lot of young men and women, a lot of middle-aged persons, but also the elderly, making their way here, because you recall that yesterday, Dr. Oburu Oginga Odinga came and opened the home for the mourning to continue. He calls it, or the community here calls it, bringing the cry home. So today what we saw are the members of the public visiting, different leaders visiting, coming to offer their condolences, but at the same time to be with the people that are here. You can imagine that a lot of attention is also turning to this particular place, and therefore the security officers were here to ensure that the entry is limited or is controlled, that because of the heavy number or high number of people that are coming, you'd want that the entrance to be a bit managed, because yesterday what we were witnessing is that the numbers were so high within the compound. At some point it was becoming difficult to manage the expectations of every mourner who gets here. So what we witnessed today is that outside the gate there is a tent or tents that have been put up for people who want to come here. They can sit, they can offer their condolences, they can express themselves, express their grief, but at the same time making sure that they do not interfere with those people that may want to have a more intimate relationship with the family that is here, or the family and friends that are within the home of Raila Odinga. Now, what you also saw is different leaders visiting, including the governor of Siaya County and the former member of parliament, but now cabinet secretary for energy, Opio Wandai. They were here and they spoke. We could listen to what they had to say when they were here at the Opoda farm.
I am happy that Siaya County is ready to receive guests who will be coming to mourn with us. And I'm also happy that Siaya County is proud to give Baba a befitting send-off as our foremost leader, not only in this region, but in the whole country. Secondly, I want to thank profusely, I want to thank in a very, very big way His Excellency the President, Dr. William Ruto, for making a proclamation to accord Baba Raila Odinga a state funeral with full military honors. That is something that we cannot take for granted, because he has simply used his discretion as the commander-in-chief to make that proclamation. Many of you will recall that even Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, who was the first vice president of this republic, was never accorded such honor when he passed on in 1994. And therefore, thank you very much, Your Excellency President William Ruto, for honoring not only Baba and the Jaramogi family, but honoring the Luo community and generally the followership of Baba as a whole. Thirdly and lastly, indeed, is to affirm that Baba has left us as a people in government. Baba Raila Odinga has left us in government led by President William Ruto. And that is where we are going to stay. Till the end. Yes. Till the end.
It is indeed a tragedy for us. For me, I never believed that such a day will come when we do not have Jacom around. Kenya has lost one of its most consequential sons and patriots. In fact, I can say without fear of contradiction that Raila Amolo Odinga is the greatest Kenyan that ever lived. And for that reason, I appeal all to our people in the entire republic and in Nyanza and in Siaya to give us time and space to have a distinguished send-off for our son and leader, Raila Amolo Odinga. As you know, through the state and the President of the Republic of Kenya, there was a proclamation to give Raila Amolo Odinga a state funeral. And for that reason, we are going to have guests from all over the world here in Bondo. The final journey ends here in Bondo and in Siaya. So we plead for calmness and peace as we mourn our hero, our legend, so that the world can see from the ceremonies and the functions that we are going to have that we really and truly loved him as our leader.
Sam Gituku is reporting live from Bondo, Siaya County at Opoda Farm amid burial preparations for the late Raila Odinga. And we've seen Sam take us inside the home of the late Raila Odinga, where we've seen his seat symbolically draped with a white cloth. And this is a long-standing tradition during a period of mourning, signifying that the person who once occupied that seat is now dearly departed. Sam has walked us through preparations as well as given us excerpts of leaders that made their way there for the better part of the day and towards the evening as well, even as burial preparations for the late Raila Odinga continue. Now, residents of Kisumu held an